ฮัลโหลฮัลโหลใครเข้ามาแล้วน่ารักมากๆAll right. So to those of you, just zoom in, right? I just want to say that you have to check your attendance for today class. So everyone just look at the line group. All right. So today class, we are going to study for class number 7. ไปเช็ค attendance ดีกว่าครับได้ไหม class attendance นี่ไปแล้วนะฮะ All right. Okay, so to those of you just zoom in, right? Just check the attendance. I just want your name and ID student. Sit. How many of you for today class? Two? Two of you, right? เฮ้ยเหลือ2 คนเหรอเนี่ย น่ารัก
อาจารย์คะเดี๋ยวเพื่อนหนูตามเข้ามาอีกค่ะพอดีเขามีปัญหาอินเทอร์เน็ตนิดหน่อยค่ะ
อ๋อได้เดี๋ยวรอเพื่อนก่อนละกันนะสัก2-3 นาทีนะฮะ Okay, all right, don't worry, be happy. Yeah, so for this class, we are going to study for class number 7, right? I hope you guys, let's have a fun with this class just because it's all about ECP, right? Basically, most of the student, like skip. No, it's not skip. It's exempt for this course, right? Just because it's fine for all of you. So here I just changed a bit more about like the interactive activity, just because it can be a flaw for all of us to practice or enhance our skill of spoken communication based on the idea that we can share to each other, right? I do understand that everyone is coming here, right? So just make sure that you write your name and ID student into the line group for checking the attendance here, right? Attendance check, yeah. ไม่น่ามี present นะกลุ่มเราไม่น่ามีเนาะมีไหม all right. Okay, right. Now we start. I'm going to say that the first part of today's class is that the English presentation. I do understand that if some of you have to do a presentation, just raise your hand for me, please. But if not, I'm going to say that I'm going to skip it then. มีหรือไม่มีถ้ามีกด1ครับผมไม่มีกด2 All right, all right, all right. So I do understand that for English presentation, there is no member of the group presentation here. So what I want to do here is that just skip it first, and then you have to move to the first activity for a speaking class for today class, right? Class number 7.1, think about it. So you can see from this slide, we have 2 questions before we go into the second part of, discussion part here, right? And then after that, we have to practice for listening here. I am going to say that for this activity, you just choose one out of 2. From the following questions here. Basically, it's about self-motivation or the dimension for some perspective that you can see life as in the what way that you can cultivate your way or your understanding toward the life is going on here, right? I do understand that the first the first aspect is that life is journey, not a destination. And it seems to all of us that we have to talk about what do you think about life? Life is journey. Is there any clarification or explanation to what journeys may be up and downs, or even some kind of good or bad, or some kind of struggle, or even achieve something here? But here is that very important for all of you to notice that it's not a destination. For some people may see that the destination or success, I mean success, right? Successful realm of competition or things like you are focused on the destination. It may be not the right direction, just because we have to look at the surrounding our life and just perceive our life in that journey way. So if you choose A, you have to make clarification or just sharing the idea from a life is journey. It's not a destination here, right? Moving to a second question here, we can see that the transformation can often look ordinary. It is a slow process. Basically, it is the understanding of transformation or skill improvement, or even something that change from time to time. So it seems to all of us that the transformation seems simple or ordinary here. For example, like we have to understand or accept their digital literacy when it comes to have the digital world, I can say. So sometimes like we chip into the innovation a lot, and that is called transformation, or whatever you can take take into account that the transformation for English language skill improvement. Sometimes it might seem to be simple or ordinary, and it takes time or it's a slow process. Whatever you can say here, you just try to connect, but it's not that direct word to say here. I can say just because you have to expand the idea for more and sharing to all of it. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying here, right? You have to choose first and then see what dimension that you can expand or share to your classmate here, right? I'm going to say for A and B, it's quite the same. If we look at the core concept for life is a journey or even transformation here, is kind of what happened to our daily routine or from time to time, right? So here it's your turn that you have to think about it and just share to your classmate here. I'm going to let you prepare a bit for 5 minutes. Is that okay? And then once you're ready, just turn on the microphone here. I hope you guys can share and then can speak up to each other. โอเคนะฮะเดี๋ยวให้เวลา5 นาที All right. I guess you guys, some of you may ready, right? Just turn on the microphone here if you wish to say something, right? So all of us have to do so just because we can share the ideas from life and transformation here.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I choose A.
Mm-hmm.
Life is a journey, not a destination, because doesn't born with an old age, but with young age, you know. So it's like a game that we have to live our life and learn all the time about many things, such as relationships, knowledge, how to live, something like this. We gain more experience and yeah, like a game, we gain more EXP to make our life, ourselves stronger. Yeah, so we're learning until last minute of our life. So it's not destination, but you have to learn many things like a journey until we die. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing here. Just type perfect into that line group, please. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. So one of your friends just said that life is a journey just because we have to learn everything from our own experiences. And it depends on what we can see from a dimension of our life is we have to see from surrounding things, right? That is, life is about journey, so we can cultivate lots of a positive thing from time to time. So is that the goal of our life to live, and we have to strive for our best in order to make sure that we can have the positive thing in our life here. Great, thank you so much for sharing here. Next, please.
Okay, I choose the second one. Okay. My opinion to this point is that transformation can be often look ordinary. It's a slow process, and yes, it's due. I mean, life is like a journey. We must learn. We gradually learning from it. Yeah, you must face a bad and a good thing, and those things will create a new version of you. It's slow, but sometimes it someday you will achieve your goal life. I think.
It's great. Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Just type perfect into that line group. Yeah. So one of your friends just said that just because we have to understand, right? The life is going to be up and down. So we have to see that is dimension that we have encountered, even faced into the reality. And also it's from time to time we have to possess something, a little thing, even it is good or bad, but it can gain as our experiences, right? And then we strive for our best to make it happen later. Great, thank you so much for sharing here. Next, please.
I choose question B. Think about the transformation can often look ordinary. It's slow process. I will give you first the example about ordinary in relationships. You know, like building deep and meaningful relationships often involves ordinary, everyday interactions, and it's accumulation of trust, understanding, and shared experiences over time that transform these relationships into something extraordinary. So, whatever in my view, in the world that often seeks instant gratification and quick results, this perspective gently reminds us that achieving lasting transformation usually requires patience, commitment, and the willingness to endure the less exciting phases of growth. It urges us to stay determined in our pursuit of goals, even when progress seems slow and unimpressive, acknowledging that true change unfolds gradually over time. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much for sharing. Here's just type perfect into that line group, please, for the first activity for today class. Right, so one of your friends just said very nicely to me, just because I think that how to attempt to achieve something here is this kind of process that we have to wait for, or it lasts for some time for some reason, and it calls like a transformation. Deep down, we understand that life, proves us in many ways. For example, like a negative consequences may happen just because we did something for what the sake it should be. Or even if we strive to the best, I do understand that we can trying hard to make it happen later, and it called transformation for a big success too. And this is called like what we have to acknowledge or understand, that life is going just because it's happened for a reason, and the transformation can happen here too. All right, next please. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. All right, you can share the ideas, you can share your perspective, or you can share your own experiences if you think that it happened to your life right now, right? Okay.
I choose A. Life journey, not a destination. The required process for a life purpose aren't something you can use shortcuts for. Sometimes you get lost or sidetracked, but that's life. You have to learn everything from your own failure because it will make you stronger than ever.
All right, thank you so much for your sharing. Here, just type perfect into that line group, please. All right, so one of your friends just mentioned and ignite some, a clear perspective or dimension of a life. It's not an easy way to do so, and he just mentioned on a shortcut to become successful person is not taking place as much as we have to do so. This is very important just because I've been experiencing lots of going up and going down from time to time. So we have to learn from our failure or our mistake, and then we have to strive to a better version of ourselves. So no more shortcut just because you have to prove it, as a life is a journey here, right? Thank you so much for your sharing here. Done, right? Anyone want to share? You can share, right? You can share, just because I think various dimensions, variety of perspective, or even different opinions here can shape our idea, and we have to see that we are going learning in the right direction or not. I do understand that just because I raised this kind of topic, just because all of you are surviving or living in a different world of people in the previous time. I can say just because Gen Z, Gen X, and Gen Y is quite differences in terms of personality or thinking. So sometimes like you may have some perspective that is quite strange to some people, that it workable. I mean, it works for some people in the modern day. So what we need to do is that I do understand that adaptability and flexibility is a key factor for our personalities, or even trait characteristic that we have to adapt in the modern world, especially when it comes to professional working. All right, so here it's all about like you have to cultivate a positive mindset, just see positive side of our life, and just like framing yourself into the life's journey is not that tough or difficult as much as possible here. So right, good. Thank you for all of us. I hope you guys done for the first activity. Is that right? Would you like to move on? Move on กด 1 ครับ All right. Okay. So, yeah, thank you so much for fully participate for the first part of activity. This is an interactive activity for all of us to share the idea. And moving to second part is a little bit detailed. And I would say that it may challenge your thinking ability a bit, just because what you need to do here is that you have to think first, think and then talk. And then after that, you just share the idea to your classmate here. So all in all, for three following questions here, it deals with critical thinking, creative thinking, and then, logical reasons here. For this week, I'm going to say that you have to, share the dimension of creative thinking, which is different from critical thinking that we did from the previous week. So I can say that it may practical for some reason when it comes to have, preparing for such a TOEIC test preparation here. Now we have to see the deeper understanding of creative thinking into the way that we have to learn in the new, new chapter or even new strategies that is can be set up into university setting in the future, right? So the first question is that deal with creative thinking. So what you can see here that how does the creative thinking matter in TOEIC test preparation? Is that necessitates the importance of creative thinking or thinking skill that can be put into TOEIC test preparation. How does the creative thinking enhance language proficiency and adds personal touch to the responses, right? Do you think it is important and it can improve your skill and then improve whatever here that can deal with the difficulties in the TOEIC test preparation, especially when it comes to detailed reading or even such a question that might be complicated or even difficult to understand here? The second question deals with the same, right? But in a different perspective here. So basically it talks about like why critical thinking help you master logical reasoning or creative thinking here. And it is encourage innovation or some kind of unique problem-solving approach, right? In the context of TOEIC test preparation, I can say that for some kind of email writing or even such a email reply into the reading comprehension that is common found in the TOEIC test, it deals with problem-solving or even innovation, and you have to take time to think about it. Is that right? And do you think it is important, or in what way that creative thinking can be able to make you, foster or even improve the idea in the writing task and speaking prompt when it comes to the real task or productive skill? Basically, you have to understand that when it comes to C for the professional skills in English, we have to focus on the speaking skill or even writing skill, just because it deals with instant communication, right? Is that important to use a problem-solving approach or creative thinking to deal with such, skill or, the component that you are going to use it in the, real world, right? And the last question is that it deals with creative thinking skill. So any idea that you can share here that if you think that thinking skill allow you to think outside the box, so this is the key term here, right? Use varied vocabulary or some kind of like unfamiliar vocabulary in certain context, for example, a business context or academic context here, or some kind of variety of sentence structures, inversion, or things like that you might not, commonly found in that daily routine or a present thought or idea in engaging in impressive manner. Do you think thinking skill, like think outside the box, can improve chances for effective communication here, right? Again, right? So all love for 1, 2, and 3 deal with thinking skill. So do you think it is important when it comes to, having a good relationship between others, or even improve your English skill to be better here. I'm going to give you for 5 minutes a bit just because it is very detailed and discussion part for speaking part. If you wish to share the idea, you just turn on the microphone here. Mhm. All right, I guess some of you may ready. Is that right? Just turn on the microphone here and then share the idea from this kind of dimension of perspective that you can share here. Yep. So for this part, I think you can share. It's not just only for test preparation on the TOEIC, but I'm going to see that what do you think about creative thinking or even thinking skills that can be processed for the future career preparation, and also that what you need to understand that is that possible or is that necessary to use such a critical thinking or thinking skill here into working or professional work in the future, right?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I choose number 3. So, how does creative thinking skill allow me to think outside the box is I believe that whenever you have a creative thinking skill, you will have more knowledge. You will open mind to many words and vocabulary, just like an artist or fictionist. That when you read their ideas, sometimes you may surprise about their plot, their sentence, their idiom, their vocabulary. That is very, very beautiful. Yeah.
I see. Great. Thank you so much for sharing here. Yeah. So one of your friends just type what? Fantastic. Is that right? I just type fantastic into that line. Great. Yeah. So one of your friends just mentioned that think outside the box plays an important role to effective communication. I can add for more information here is that thinking skills is kind of innovation. It is innovative thinking skill too, just because if we think outside the box, we can see something happen that is no one can come up with this kind of ideas, right? So to me, I can say that in part of effective communication, we have to understand a lot more information on the differences of the sentence structure that can be used in particular group of communication. For example, if when it comes to have a diversity or even diverse cultural communication, right? So it seems to all of us that we have to understand not just only for verbal communication, but we have to observe in terms of non-verbal communication too, or even like facial expression or the way that they react or reflect something from communication to each other. So this is kind of very important to present the idea or thought through thinking skill here. Great, thank you so much for sharing here. Next, please. You're right. Maybe it's hard and it's a little bit challenging, right? Okay. So yeah, I can ask for all of us that, do you think thinking skill is important for future work? Just because it's deal with career preparation, right? Okay.
I choose number 1.
Yeah.
I think creative thinking or critical thinking is a necessary skill for doing quick tests. Actually, for everything in this world, okay. It can help you to analyze the problem in front of you and how to solve it easily. Yeah. Like when I found a blank word test, yeah, you have to put the words, and I don't know which word should I do. I should. It's like the next level of using common sense, The creative thinking is help me to do this kind of test easily. Yes.
I see your point. I see what you are coming from. Just type fantastic for me, please. Great. So one of your friend just mentioned that when it comes to deal with grammatical features or vocabulary tests, that is unfamiliar with it kind of word or even idiomatic expressions that put into practice for the test, for a TOEIC test while preparing it, right? So it is very important to use thinking skill just because we have to avoid some mistake or even, how can I say? I mean, like presumption or guessing before we put the right word into the right blank, right? So it seemed to all of us that we have to possess such a thinking skill before we go to the right or correct answer here. So it is very important and it's just crucial for all of us to do the test properly and effectively here. Yeah, great, fantastic, fantastic. Anyone want to share? Just share. There is no right or wrong. You can share thinking skill in particular aspect. It's not just deal with a TOEIC test preparation. Maybe when it comes to solve such a problem that happened to your life or your own experiences, or even if you come up with a future work that you are going to be such a, for example, like such a career in the public relation, or even a master speaker or speaking in public or teacher, English teacher, whatever here. Is that an important thing that you can see from thinking skill or creative thinking, critical thinking skill here? Can be such a a fundamental asset to all of us to showcase or perform in reality. Yeah.
And I choose to discuss number 3, creative
good.
thinking skill. Well, creative thinking skills enable you to break free from conventional thinking using innovative approaches. They encourage the use of diverse words and sentence structures, making your communication more engaging. And additionally, they foster storytelling and visual aids, enhancing how you present ideas in an impressive manner.
I see. Thank you so much for your sharing your ideas. Such an impressive ideas too. I can say just because one of your friends said that thinking outside the box or thinking skills have to deal with various dimensions in terms of appropriateness, politeness, or even seem to be professionalism in some context, right? So it is very important to say that the thinking is not just only enhance your cognitive ability or thinking skill here, but you may feel confident when it comes to have a real conversation or instant communication from time to time. And I would say that in the context of professionalism, when it comes to have like a really face-to-face communication, sometimes we have to do lots of things that spontaneously or even immediately at that time, especially when it comes to spoken communication, right? So I can say that it deals with the proper or engaging communication when we use thinking skill and then put into what we are going to say wisely and intentionally here. Right, great. Thank you so much for your sharing here. Anyone want to share? Don't want to, right? If you don't want to, just type XY. I hope that is enough for thinking skill, right? Sharing the idea from some of you, dimensional perspective here. Yeah, if some of you want to share something here, just feel free to share, right? But I would say that it is very important. It is necessary for the not just only for college student life or experiences that you have to face from time to time. But in reality, in the future, in the coming future, I can say that you have to practice a bit the way that we can use it. It is prompt to the thought, it is happen spontaneously or immediately at that time. But when we deal with lots of situation based on your own experiences, you can deal and master it from time to time. Right. Thank you so much for sharing here. Good. Listening,ครับผม all right, so move to the so we have to moving to the part of listening test. For listening test is because I have a problem with technical term here. I can say so, meaning that I just let you listen at home, right? Basically, I just want you to practice for part 3 and 4, just because it deals with a number of questions in the listening test. And it seemed to all of us that we have to practice a lot on communication or conversation, or even public speaking or speech delivery in part 4 or mono talk, right? So I do understand that the test is a little bit challenging for listening comprehension. So what you need to do is that you have to practice the skill that paramount to each other, which are reading skills and then listening skill. So you have to practice simultaneously. I can say you have to read, you have to be a quick reader. You have to scan from the possible answer, right? From the listening test. And at the same time, you have to listen. I mean, active listen and emphasize the keyword or catch some information, the main idea from the listening of in the spoken communication here, and try to make it perfect as much as possible here. All right, so I do understand that we have to go for break a bit. I think we should go for break maybe 15 minutes and then see you at and then I just sent you a link into the line group here. เป็นยังไงบ้างใครยังอยู่บ้างครับกดหนึ่งมานิดนึงกดหนึ่งทั้งวันครับวันนี้ alright alright so shall we move to to something wrong here เฮ้ยนะ okay again อันนี้ทำไหมดีนะขอดูก่อนหนึ่งสองไม่ต้องก็ได้มั้งไม่จำเป็น alright so shall we move to second half for today class for today class we can see from this one right okay so let's do together ใครตอบได้เนี่ยพิมพ์เข้ามาเลยนะครับไม่ต้องกลัวนะง่ายๆ first quarter revenue นะครับ 45.1 billion from 44.7 billion a year earlier ตอบข้อไหนดี increase is that right increase from decline from expand at rose to rose ได้ไหมเอ่ยจริงนะแบบหนึ่งขอดูก่อน first quarter revenue อันนี้พูดถึงตัวเลขเนาะ increase from the baseline increase from the baseline น่าจะเป็น rose เนาะ just because it deals with business context so we can see that rose to coming from rise to is that right so it means to all of us that we have to see for a common glance we can say increase might be appropriate word that can be put into the right line here but here when we see or look at the certain context here we can understand that rise or rose to might be the most fit here ตอบดีด็อกครับทุกคนพิมพ์ดีนิดนึงดีเข้ามาเลยนะครับทำข้อสองครับข้อสองตอบ C หรือเปล่านะฮะ social nesting bird that build on a tree cliff อันนี้เป็น SV agreement right just because for second question we deal with subject and verb agreement so we can see here social nesting bird is a form of a noun or phrase here so what we need is that subject plus verb is that right so what we need is that verb to be or verb to do so most stops are would be the correct answer. So you have to understand the sentence structure or the component of subject and verb agreement, right? And we can see that it is a complement or description for describing a social nesting bird here, right? So the earlier is that subject and verb agreement here. So we have to see that most stocks are is the right place to answer for this question. The answer we go for C นะฮะเก่งมาก3 และ 4ครับผมทำทีละข้อไม่ต้องกลัว My line manager wants the meeting wants 2 right 1 plus 2 so it's a very simple form here to arrange the wants my line manager wants the meeting if we look at the first glance is that wants something to right but here we can see want the meeting here is that it's for the object right of the sentence which can be fallen to be passive form be arranged or arranged once the meeting be arranged to arrange ไม่ได้อยู่แล้ว be arranged เป็น inversion แล้วกัน ดีดอกครับ all right thank you so much for sharing the idea here next please ไปทำข้อ4ครับ before starting on the sea อันนี้น่าจะเป็นในเรื่องของ parallel structure ใช่ไหม I can say that just because you can see starting on the sea learn the sea chart memorize lighthouse location to prepare themselves for any conditions they might encounter so we can see here from the parallel structure learn is an infinitive form is that right so what we need here is that infinitive form so I would say that study selling direction would be the answer here b-boy ครับเก่งมากทันนะ the rest is not fit into the blank just because we deal with the understanding of parallel structure right so meaning that if you put infinitive form so you have to arrange the infinitive form following to each other right but when it comes to have like gerund right ing here so we need to see the same pattern of ing too that's it great thank you so much for sharing here next please He is excited about the new promotion and looking forward to it. It is very easy and simple form, right? Look forward to plus ing or now. Is that right? Gerund or even now fresh. Taking on, taking in, taking on, and taking in. If we look at the structure, it's fine for us to see that the noun fresh or even like ing here. But when it comes to translate into the meaning, so we have to focus on the context or contextual clue, right? I can say that responsibility is a keyword here. Take on, take in, take on, jitting up. So we can cross C and D first. ระหว่าง take on กับ take in นั่นเอง take in แปลว่า participate take on แปลว่ารับผิดชอบเพราะฉะนั้นตัวรับผิดชอบตัวนี้คือ responsibility น่าจะเป็นข้อ A นะฮะทันนะครับทุกคนพิมพ์ A right go for it next please So for this one is that we deal with a simple form, which is seems to be challenging or difficult for some reasons, right? Just because we deal with an article in English, a and the, is that right? So the answer we go for A, just because we can see that as we agreement or we can say has often concluded refer to the subject of the sentence just only for one, right? For one นะตอบ A ครับผมเก่งมากพิมพ์ A next please The flight arrived Tokyo in 3 hours. Flight arrived Tokyo in 3 hours. Flight arrive in, arrive into, arrive at, arrive on. Tokyo อันนี้ง่ายครับต้องเป็น in is that right so we deal with preposition here the answer we go for A so basically you can specify the preposition in that certain context or location here I understand that Tokyo is city, right? So we have to say in Bangkok, in Tokyo, in Manila, in Singapore, in KL, whatever here. So the big city we put in front of the noun. So when we put into, it means that you go deep into the detail, take into consideration, for example, or even specify such a location that aim to be concreted instead of abstract. For example, at the restaurant, at the school, at the hospital here. and on here might come up with those kind of phrase or like a two with verbs. For example, take on, take in that we mentioned earlier, right? Next, please. So for this one, it deals with I understand that it is a part of a structure, right? Sentence structure here. Who was the first black woman? It was. Yeah, that's correct. So the answer will go for B. I do understand that if all of you understand the sentence structure, it might be easier to pitch or even to seek for the correct answer here. Again, right? Just because in our sentences we have to deal with subject and verb agreement. Is that right? So here we can say that who just is a relative pronoun or as a relative, such a relative adjective here, right? So we have to describe a noun before that. And we need a sentence here. So it should go, it was Shirley, right? Blah, 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 that's it. Next, please. Property tax is about 30% of overall tax revenue in the state. Account for, make about, the least raised by. Yes, that's correct. For this one is that it deals with the word choices. I can say, so basically the answer will go for D just because it is approximate account for, or even like it refers to, or it accumulated a number of money, amount of money here, about 40%, is that right? So the answer will go for D. What you need to see is that and carefully reconsider a bit, just because for a TOEIC test, it deals with the text completion or even the word or idiomatic expression, phrasal verbs here. So we have to understand the context. So this one is that it goes for economic context. So what you need to see is that the vocabulary that fit into that context too. So account for would be the answer here. Next, please. อันนี้ไม่ยากครับเป็น parallel structure ใช่ไหม strength appearance อันนี้ spell ผิดนิดหน่อยนะฮะแล้วก็ต้องเป็น hardness ใช่ไหม Yep, deduct. For question number 10, just because you can see parallel structure or form of parallel structure here, right? So tensor strength, and then hardness would be the answer, and you put "and" here just because for comma split or even punctuation here, when you talk about a series of set of a noun, right? So we can see that strength, comma, apparent, comma, and the last word you have to put "and" in order to make sure that the sentence is full completion. I can say, great. Thank you so much for your sharing. Next, please. 11 12ครับผมอันนี้ไม่ยากละ Please place over there and then phone reception. I'm sorry. Okay. Let them know that they have arrived. place them, is that right? So this is a very simple, just because it deals with pronoun reference here, them, correct? Next, annual report will be submitted in its entirety at next week's board meeting at our headquarters. Latest, is that right? Just because it deals with the superlative adjective form here, the latest annual report, right? So the answer will go for latest here. Great. Next, please. Maintenance has requested that employees place link at 3 ages to be disposed of the separate. Is that right? Separate, just because we need this only for an adjective here. That's it. Next. Our year-end figures are time-consuming to calculate, and what? And we always submit them online. We always struggle. Is that right? B-boy here, correct? Just because we need an infinitive form here. Thank you so much for your showing here. Next, please. All right. All right, good. She was consulting with someone in her office when she was. So here we can see by as a contextual clue, right? Which is referring to passive form. So I can say that what you need to see is that was interrupted. So B-boy would be the correct answer here. Go for it. Next, please. The candidate spent blah, blah, blah amount of money to attract the voter during the recent election campaign. Basically, we have to see that what is described. If you put something described spent, we need, an adverb. Is that right? But if you see that the sentence described now here amount of money, so we need an adjective. So we have to differentiate between the two. Which one is more important between spend and amount of money? I can say that it talks about amount of money. Is that right? Just because to put into investment of election campaign here, I can say exorbitant would be the answer here. B-boy, king might have. That's it. Next, please. A new photocopier for the department can be purchased as soon as forms are submitted, not before. So actually, for this kind of sentences, I can say that it's quite vary. I mean, it's not that common found into the structure or sentence arrangement here. But what you need to see is that you have to understand the context first, just because we can see that this is the cause and the action is that contradict to each other. So the answer we go for, but not before. See cat here. That's it. Great. Next. Factory workers often work together, right, in pairs with a responsibility to keep the line moving. So here is that we have to understand this responsibility first. Actually, if we say mutual responsibility, is that work or is that sound make sense? Or partner responsibility, relative responsibility, couple responsibility. From B, C, and D, we can see that it deals with people, right? Or relationship that is specify a meaning that's suitable for people here. But here, responsibility is not a people, I can say. So you have to put mutual responsibility might be the correct one. The answer we go for A. Moving to next place. Petrol, right? Who want a refund or exchange must make a request at the customer service center within 1 month the date of purchase. So for this question, it deals with preposition, right? From the date of purchase. So the answer will go for A. And the last question is that audience member what? To switch off all electronic devices if they attend any of the presentations scheduled throughout the conference are reminded. Is that right? So basically for a conditional sentences or if clause, I have to say that the form of if clause, it is very important to understand too. But some kind of context, we have to understand the meaning take place too. For this one is that if they attain is a present simple form, right? Basically, if we focus on the form, it might be possible for the future simple form or even the present simple form too. But here I can see that the speaker deals with reality that happen from time to time. So everyone need to remind to switch off here. So the answer we go for B boy, right? ตอบ B นะ bilingual อันนี้คืออะไรนะคะเดี๋ยวก่อนแป๊บนึงอ๋อ advance สำหรับใครมันไม่ต้องทำก็ได้ข้ามเนาะเพราะว่ามันเวอร์เอามาจากข่าวนะฮะข้ามได้ไหมข้ามไม่กด1ครับผมกด1เข้ามากันเดี๋ยวลองทำดูนะฮะอันนี้ให้เวลาทำ1 นาทีนะครับ4 ข้อใครทำเสร็จแล้วพิมพ์คำตอบเข้ามาได้เลยนะฮะ A B C D นะครับแล้วก็เดี๋ยวไอมาเฉลยทำมิ่งครับผม3 นาที เป็นยังไงบ้างครับหน้านี้นะครับ text completion so notice parking along the street in the Frederickson downtown area is prohibited. Every second and third Tuesday in March between 8 to 12 p.m. for cleaning. So this is the cause, right? So what we need here is that the effect of the first sentence and must be followed by the effect or consequences here. So look at the first sentence here. City had to adjust parking rate every 2 months. City sanitation vehicle and crews will be working on the roadway during this time. Regulation has been implemented to reduce weekend traffic, or there are several ways you can pay for free for parking. Just because it talks about something happened here and then the effect or consequences may take place after that, right? So I would say that B-boy here would be the answer. Yep. Second, we can look at the possible answer first. Receive, receivable, receive. So here, the form is similar, right? But the part of speech might be different. So what we need to see is that which one would be the correct answer. Right, for second, this must be paid within 30 days of plus now. So what we need here is that now, right? The now would be the first one here. The answer we go for A. That's it. Great. Thank you so much for your sharing here. Moving to what choices again, right? Just because for the text completions, I can say that for 4 possible questions from this part, it deals with the first one is that sentence arrangement or sentence insertion. So what we need to see is that the logical reason, or even the previous sentences, or even second sentences that can be due to each other. And the rest of it is that it deals with the semantic, or I can say that the word or meaning of it, right? For example, like this one is deal with an adjective as a word form, but it deals with the meaning in context here. Flexible, technical, exemplary, or subsequent here. Some people say, okay, yeah. Let me check, let me say. City stages permit vehicle owners to challenge a ticket validity within the same 30-day period. And owners may make an appeal if they disagree with the outcome on violation. So here we can see that violation meaning is violation is a bad consequences. Is that right? So the possible answer here would go for subsequent, just because the effect of the bad regulation, things like that. If you put flexible, it doesn't fit in that context or technical term, technical approaches. Exemplary, it means that exception or except for that sense. So subsequent here is that, you know, the consequences that happen after that. Is that right? So the answer we go for D. It's correct. Next, lead, leads, and then led or leading here. Again, so we can see for the last sentence that vehicle will be told on expenses repeated next and could also. Could here is a modal form plus infinitive. So what we need here is that the form of the word, right, which is referred to the part of speech. So we need an infinitive form. Infinitive form ตัวไหนเอง lead นั่นเองตอบ A นะฮะ clear นะ all right, so all along what you need to understand from the text completion here is that the first thing is that you have to skim and scan, just because it deals with the comprehension and reading skill. I do understand that just focus for the first sentence in order to make sure that you can get the main idea, and after that look at the possible answer first and then try to insert each sentences into the right blank, and then reconsider again and again whether it is test your ability to understand the grammar part or it tests your ability to understand the word choices or possible vocabulary that fit into that context here. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying here, right? Okay ไหมฮะ clear ไหมฮะ clear พิมพ์ clear clear แล้วแหละต้อง clear นะฮะทุกคนแล้วก็ไปทำคำศัพท์ครับผมสล็อตนะครับทีละครึ่งชั่วโมงนะฮะติวครึ่งชั่วโมงคำศัพท์มาเลยนะฮะเดี๋ยวให้เวลา10 นาทีวันนี้เราปล่อยเร็วนิดนึงนะฮะเนื่องจากว่าเราไม่มี present แล้วก็สั่งทำ listening เป็นการบ้านนะครับจัดเลยนะฮะ7.1นะครับ investigation intention invaluable หา synonym นะครับคำ2 คำก็ได้นะฮะแต่ run มาเลยนะ interruption inventory invoice นี่เป็นได้ทั้ง verb และ noun ต้องเช็คดีๆนะฮะ isolate itinerary issues like identify นะฮะอันนี้เป็น10 ข้อแรกเดี๋ยว timing 10 นาทีนะใครเสร็จเดี๋ยวเราพิมพ์ดันมานะ jealous เปิดด้วย J นะjeopardize journey justice justification jobless knowledgeable keen journal แล้วก็ judgment 7.2 move Q3 ครับ 7.3 labor leisure activity lay off ตัวนี้น่าสนใจนะ lay off เป็นได้ทั้ง noun แล้วก็ verb ใช่ป่ะเพราะฉะนั้นลองเช็คดูดีๆนะครับคือ part of speech มันก็จะมีความยากตรงที่ว่าต้องจับให้ได้ว่าตัวไหนเป็น noun แล้วก็ตัวไหนเป็น verb แต่ว่าจริงๆแล้วเราวิเคราะห์ทางdata analysis หรือว่า textual ได้นะครับ liability lobby luxurious luggage leasing ก็เป็นได้ทั้ง noun แล้วก็ adjective นะฮะมันก็ vary ด้วย nature ของตัวคำศัพท์เพราะฉะนั้นพอเราหาเนี่ยให้เราเช็คดีๆด้วยนะฮะว่าตัวไหนเป็น noun เป็น adjective นะครับมันเนี่ยtiming เลย10 นาทีนะครับถ้าเสร็จแล้วให้หนูพิมพ์ให้เราพิมพ์นะครับ done 3 times นะฮะแล้วก็เดี๋ยวเราทำ before we go กัน All right, all right, all right. I hope you guys ready to leave. Okay, so we have come to the last section for today class. Activity, the last activity is that before we go, right? Verb and expression with preposition here. It calls collocation. So you have to understand a bit just because it can be used for written expression here, right? I do understand that, yeah, so just choose only one of three, then create a meaningful sentence here, right? Had run out of money, filled with horror, or burst into the tears, right? Okay, or even drive anybody to crime, right? Choose one of three and then just speak up and then you can leave from the Zoom. Yep. Okay.
I want to buy an iPhone, a new iPhone, but I have run out of money, so I have no other choice except keep doing my job and collect money.
All right, thank you so much for your sharing here. Just save money first, right? And then I think that this situation can happen to everyone too. All right, thank you so much for your sharing the idea here. You can leave from the Zoom if you wish to do so. Next, please.
ต้องพิมพ์อะไรลงกลุ่มไหมครับอาจารย์
ไม่ต้องก็ได้ครับ
ครับ
Okay.
I choose number 3, drive anybody to crime. Then my sentence is the desperate economic situation and lack of opportunities can drive anybody to consider a life of crime as a means of survival.
All right, thank you so much for sharing here. Yeah, drive anybody to crime can happen in the hectic world or, dispersed situation or tough situations, right? Okay, good. Thank you so much for sharing here. Next, please. All right, all right, all right. Anyone on the chairs, you can turn on the microphone here. Yeah, if you don't want to, how can I do? I have to finish a class just only this and see you next week. Next week, เดี๋ยวนะครับหนึ่ง next week นี่คือยัง midterm อยู่ไหมยังนะครับใช่ปะเดี๋ยวนะขอเช็คก่อน midterm วันที่เท่าไหร่อยู่ midterm next week 29ยังไม่ใช่ midterm เนาะ midterm น่าจะอยู่ที่2 ถึง 6นะครับเราสอบ midterm วันที่6 ตุลานะครับทุกคนนะครับโอเคนะเดี๋ยวค่อยแจ้งในไลน์อีกทีหนึ่งครับผม done thank you so much fun Thank you so much for your sharing here ขอบคุณครับ Thank you นะฮะ See you next week นะฮะ Still the same and then we have to learn something new more after midterm and we can figure out later Bye bye Thank you ครับ
Bye bye. Thank you.